Hello dear SYs, let's begin with phase equilibrium, which is a section A topic. To start with criteria for phase equilibrium, 100 years ago the criteria for phase equilibrium was established by Gibbs, and the criteria is: first one, temperature and pressure of the phases are equal. Second, chemical potentials of each of the components in each of the phases are equal. The third one is global Gibbs free energy is a minimum. Going towards the derivation of Gibbs phase rule. Gibbs phase rule can be derived on the basis of thermodynamic principle as follows. Let us consider a heterogeneous system consisting of phases, that is number of phases P, namely P1, P2, P3 up till letter P, and number of components C, namely C1, C2, C3 till letter C in equilibrium. Let us assume that the system is non-reacting, that is, the passage of a component from one phase to another does not involve any chemical reaction. When the system is in equilibrium state, it can be explained completely by specifying the following variables, that is, with respect to pressure, temperature, and composition of each phase. The total number of variables required for specifying the state of system, that is temperature same for all phases, pressure same for all phases. Third entity is concentration. Independent concentration variables for one phase with respect to C components is given by C minus 1. Concentration of the last component is independent. Independent concentration variables for P phases with respect to the C components is C minus 1 multiplied by P. So the total number of variables shall become P into C minus 1 plus 2. This can be named as equation 1. Ahead we have the total number of equilibria. The various phases present in the system can remain in equilibrium only when the chemical potential mu of each component is the same in each phase, that is, component 1, component 2 and component C. We can write for component 1 as mu1 and P1 is equal to mu1 and P2 is equal to mu1 and P3 till mu1 and P. Likewise, we write mu2 P1, mu2 P2, mu2 P3 till mu2 P. And we write mu C P1, mu C P2, mu C P1 till mu C P. For each component, the number of equilibria for P phases is given by P minus 1. For C component, the number of equilibria for P phases is given by C times P minus 1. Total number of equilibria involved E is C times P minus 1. This is numbered as equation 2. From equation 1 and 2 we have to write F is equal to F is our degrees of freedom in brackets P into C minus 1 plus 2 minus C times P minus 1. On opening the brackets, we are left with F is equal to C minus P plus 2. This is our Gibbs phase rule equation. Some conclusions from the phase rule equation. For a system having a specified number of components, the greater the number of phases, the lesser is the number of degrees of freedom. For example, when the system consists of only one phase, we have C is equal to 1 and P is equal to 1. So according to the phase rule, if we substitute C is equal to 1 and P is equal to 1, the degrees of freedom we get is 2. The system has 2 degrees of freedom. Going to the next, when the system consists of two phases in equilibrium, we have C is equal to 1 and P is equal to 2. On substituting in Gibbs phase rule equation, we get degrees of freedom as 1. And that is when we say the system is monovariant. A system having a given number of components and the maximum possible number of phases in equilibrium is non-variant. For a one component system, the maximum possible number of phases is 3. When a one component system has 3 phases in equilibrium, it has no degrees of freedom or non-variant system. For a system having a given number of phases, the larger the number of components, the greater will be the number of degrees of freedom of the system. For example, for one component system, C is equal to 1 and P is equal to 2, the value of F that you will get on solving is 1. For two component system, number of components is 2, phase is equal to 2. On substituting in Gibbs phase rule equation, degrees of freedom we shall get as 2. The two component system has a higher number of degrees of freedom. This is a flow chart for phase equilibria. The graphical presentation giving conditions of pressure and temperature under which the various phases are existing and transform from one phase to another is known as a phase diagram of a system. Phase diagram consists of areas, curves, lines and points. So we have phase diagram giving one component system and two component system. The two component system will further bifurcate as component which react to form compounds and component which are completely miscible but do not react, like silver lead system. The component which react to form compounds are two types: zinc magnesium system which involves congruent melting point and sodium potassium system which has incongruent melting point. We'll be seeing the definitions of these terms. We'll head to the Clausius-Clapeyron equation. The Clausius-Clapeyron equation relates the latent heat of transformation of vaporization or condensation to the rate of change of vapor pressure with temperature, or in case of a solid liquid transformation, it relates to the latent heat of fusion or solidification to the rate of change of melting point with pressure. Let us imagine a vapor in equilibrium with its liquid held in a cylinder by a piston at a constant temperature, namely the temperature at which the liquid and vapor are in equilibrium, that is to say the boiling point for the pressure. We imagine the piston to be pulled out at constant temperature, liquid evaporates and the pressure remains constant. If the piston is pushed in, vapor condenses at constant temperature and pressure. During this process, the pressure and temperature remain constant, so the Gibbs free energy of the system is constant. Let G1 be the specific Gibbs free energy for the liquid. Let G2 be the specific Gibbs free energy for the vapor. Suppose that mass dm of the liquid vaporizes, so that Gibbs free energy for the liquid decreases by G1 dm and Gibbs free energy for the vapor increases by G2 dm, but the Gibbs free energy for the system is constant. This therefore shows that when we have a liquid in equilibrium with its vapor, that is at its boiling point, the specific Gibbs free energy of liquid and vapor are equal. The same is true, of course, for the molar Gibbs free energies, that is H1 Ts1 is equal to H2 Ts2. T times S2 minus S1 is equal to H2 minus H1. This shows that latent heat of vaporization goes into two things: to increase in the internal energy upon vaporization, especially the increase of potential energy as the molecules are pulled apart from each other, and the PdV work done against the external pressure as the volume increases. Thus, we could divide the latent heat into an internal latent heat and an external latent heat. In the foregoing, we imagine that some liquid vaporized as we withdrew the piston. Now let us imagine that we have some liquid to vaporize as we add some heat at constant volume. The specific Gibbs free energy of liquid and vapor both increase, but they increase by the same amount, because as we have seen, when a liquid and its vapor are in equilibrium at boiling point, their specific Gibbs free energies are equal. Thus, minus S1 dt plus V1 dP is equal to minus S2 dt plus V2 dP. Rearranging the equation, we arrive at dP upon dt is minus S2 S1 upon V2 V1. The left hand side is the rate of increase of vapor pressure with temperature, while S2 minus S1 is equal to L upon T, where L is specific latent heat of vaporization. Thus we arrive at the Clausius-Clapeyron equation. dP by dt is equal to dP by dt minus L upon T times V2 minus V1. We will be seeing the details of one component system, two component system in the further videos. Thank you for listening.